We are live. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in once again into another episode of the MMA Show. Thank you so much for tuning in again. If you are brand new, welcome to the channel. I really appreciate you being here. Before we get started talking about some the fights, because we do have a great card of UFC this weekend. But before we get into that, I just want to remind you guys, you can go ahead and scroll down if you wish on whatever device you're on. But there should be 3 buttons below that you want to click. The like button, the subscribe button, and then leave a comment if you wish. Well, come on, man. Tell me how you really feel. We have exciting fights this weekend. So we have UFC 292, if I'm not mistaken. The main event, Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Aljamain Sterling. Such an amazing fight, man. And it's, long overdue. Not long overdue, but I feel like Sugar just has been on such a rise. And obviously he had some hiccups along the way, so he probably could have been here sooner. But he's here. He's still in his prime. He's young. But it just felt like it's been forever. I feel like I tend to see other guys kind of get pushed to the title a little bit faster than Sugar. Sugar kind of took his time, just was fighting all the guys that he needed to fight. He played it almost perfectly. Obviously, if he would have defeated Cheeto, and if he would have defeated, what's the other guy, Pedro Munoz, that it was a no contest, he probably would have been here a little bit sooner, or maybe had a little bit more hype around him. I mean, he already has all the fucking hype in the world, but, he has those 2 little things that prevented him from kind of coming into the fight, the championship fight, a little bit sooner. Because, if you're talking about title opportunities, I mean, I know the timing didn't really work out because Sugar fought Peter Yan, but then Sterling defended his title against Cejudo. And in my opinion, right, Sugar kind of deserved that title shot first, right? But it worked out because, at the end of the fight, Aljo defeated Cejudo, and it gave the opportunity to Sugar to kind of just hop on the octagon and, talk to shit, what I'm saying, promote the fight. And it's weird because, Dana White, after that fight in that press conference, he said, he didn't say that right there, but he says this all the time. He says, I never make fights the day of a fight, right? So after some guy wins, they always ask him, oh, is this guy next? Is this guy next? He claims he never loves to make those fights, but that day he did that fight right away. And then there was some controversy there because Aljamain, was saying that Dana White agreed to that without even, consulting with him. He didn't even have it on contract, what I'm saying? And he didn't even know Aljo's health. So that leads to the question: is Aljamain injured? Is he ready to go? Like, is he 100%? I mean, we've all heard that guys are never at 100%, but if he has some type of injury that will prevent him from winning, right? That's something that's pretty serious. And guys like Aljo, they're savages because they'll fight no matter what. Guys like the guy that he defeated, TJ Dillashaw, man. TJ Dillashaw was going into that fight with his shoulder absolutely destroyed, and he still got in. The fight still happened, and, obviously it ended the way it ended. He took the loss because of his shoulder, right? I don't want that shit happening to Aljo, and at a certain point you got to say, okay, what's biggest? What's more important, right? My pride? Because if Aljo would have not taking this fight right away, then all the people and Sugar are going to say, oh, you're dodging me, you're running away, blah, 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 right? But in reality, he doesn't want to lose because he's injured, right? Or should he take the approach of, nah, fuck it, I'm taking this fight. Even if I'm injured, that's fine, I'll work through it. I'll probably be healed by the time of the fight. To us, it's shitty because the TJ Dillashaw fight could have been a much better fight if TJ would have been 100% healthy. The UFC should not really allow that because not only is it dangerous for guys, it could cause permanent damage, but it's also not a great product. I mean, we don't want to see a guy in there fighting. I mean, I was cringing when TJ Dillashaw his shoulder kept popping out, and everyone knew it. Aljo knew it. The commentators knew it. Why would you allow that? Like, that could be so terrible. Like, Aljo could throw one kick or shoot a takedown or something and completely mess up his shoulder permanently in a way that cannot be reversed and completely ruin TJ Dillashaw's career. So why would we want to see that? And second of all, we know it's not going to a fair fight. It removes all senses of even playing field, removes all of that. But, it's a bad product because one guy's going to get absolutely demolished. I thought that fight was a bad product. It was a good fight-ish, but, it's just never good. It's never good. So Aljo, if he did have some type of injury, I would have liked for him to take some time off. However, we're here. It's the week of the fight. So I can assume that he is fine and ready to go, right? But you never know, man. You never know. Because then at the end of the fight, one thing I hate about guys, and they always say, oh, yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm in my prime. I'm the best I've ever been. I've never been healthier, never been faster, never been stronger, right? And then they get absolutely demolished. And at the end of the fight, they're like, oh, yeah, actually, I had this thing in my shoulder and my knee. Bro, fuck off. How many times did it? And people never hold them accountable. I feel like that's happened a lot. And I feel like people are not held accountable for the shit they say before the fight, right? I mean, we know it's shit talking and promoting and it's fine. But, bro, meme someone real quick. If they're saying I'm 100% and then at the end of the fight, they're saying, oh, guys, sorry, I was injured. Makes you wonder, he's just lying. It's just an excuse, right? But anyways, we'll talk about the main event here in a little bit because there are some interesting fights happening before. The prelims are okay. They're not, anything amazing. I am interested about the last prelim, which is Chris Weidman versus Brad Tavares, because as you guys know, Chris Weidman, I said that weird, Chris Weidman, he's been out for about 3 years due to an injury. He was fighting Uriah Hall, and people think this is some type of curse or something because remember the kick that injured Anderson Silva because he broke his foot and then he stepped on it and it was just like rubber. His leg was completely shattered. I think that was the same, kind of like the same what happened to Conor. That fight that Anderson Silva shattered his leg was against Chris Weidman. So, that's already terrible. And then Chris Weidman was fighting Uriah Hall in his last fight. And the same thing happened to him. He went for a kick, he got checked or something, and he went to step back. And I cringe just fucking thinking about it, bro. His leg was not there. I mean, his leg was absolutely shattered. Bone in a million pieces, bro. Just completely snapped in half. Bro, I cringe every time I see it. So people thought it was a curse. Luckily, I don't think it has happened to Uriah Hall. Hopefully he is safe, knock on wood that he doesn't shatter his leg. But it's going to be interesting to see what Chris Weidman can do after a long time back. I do like the guy he's fighting. I do like this fight for Chris. Chris was a top guy before his injury, but obviously had to take some time off. So if Chris wants to come back and do a title run for real, this is a great fight for him. He's going against Brad Tavares, and the reason why this is a great fight for him, not shitting on Brad, but Brad is coming off of like 3 or 4 losses, back to back, like it's terrible. So if Chris Weidman were to come back and, face a fucking young, up-and-coming savage who's on fire right now, probably not a good idea for the first fight coming back, right? This is, I hate to use this term, but it's a warm-up fight, tune-up fight, whatever you want to call it. It's not easy. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy for sure. But when you look at the rest of the division, I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, Tavares is coming off a couple of losses. And if you really look at Weidman's record before, he defeated, he defeated a lot of top guys. Akhmedov, and then defeated Souza, and then Kevin Gastelum. That's no punk. So he's had some wins, bro. And then obviously he shattered his leg against Uriah Hall. So that doesn't count. So he, before his injury, the guy was on a tear and the guy was on a title run, if you must put it that way, right? So it's terrible what happened to him. But this is a great comeback fight because if he defeats that guy, if this guy smokes this guy, it's gonna be a great night coming back. It's gonna be an amazing performance that he can celebrate, right? If he is able to win without any injuries and just being healthy for the next fight, that's great. I think Chris Weidman at this point in his career has to focus on how can we get to a title fast and easy. Now, I think that's doable, especially in the division that he's in, is the middleweight division, because that division. I don't want to say it's dead or anything about that. Not even close to that. But it is a division that the champion already kind of ran through, and a lot of the guys in the top 10 already lost to the champion one or twice. Obviously we're talking about the middleweight division with Israel Adesanya. So, if he wins this fight, now we can start talking about maybe facing someone in the top 10, you know what I mean? And then at that point, when you defeat someone there like that, then you might be one or two fights away from the championship. So if I am Chris Weidman, that's what I do at least, right? I don't know how old he is, but I'm assuming not, at his youngest. So if his goal is to just come back and do a title run, which I'm assuming, duh, obviously that's his goal. So yeah, you defeat this guy, then someone in the top 10, like I said, top 15 maybe, and then you're right there, baby. You're right there in the money, baby. So that's going to be interesting to see, man. But I'm excited for Chris. Glad he's back. Hopefully he's able to get through this without any injuries again. So that's the end of the prelims. And then we have the opener of the prelims, which is my boy Marlon Chito Vera facing off against Pedro Munoz. Both guys already faced the challenger of the title, which is Sugar Sean. Both guys already faced. Chito got the dub, which was when Sugar had that injury on his leg. And Pedro Munoz also fought Sugar, but it was a no contest because it was an eye poke. So that was unfortunate to see. I do hope they fight sometime in the future. Obviously Pedro has to get through Vera, which is no punk. But we are going to, hopefully they fight in the near future. So that would be great. For Chito, man, the guy, tough shit. He's coming out of a loss, from Sanhagen. But, other than that, he's been absolutely just dominating. Chito's one of those guys, man, that is just fun to watch, must see TB. And every time he fights, I tune in. He's one of my favorites in that division. I think he's for real a future champion, or at least a future challenger, multiple time challenger. And I do hope that he gets past Munoz and then he can get right back there in the queue for another title run. It's going to be interesting to see what happens to this division, though, if Sterling wins. We'll talk about it here in a second. And then Pedro Munoz. I'm not super familiar with his fighting style. I do know he has good striking, but that's about it. But the boy, is coming off a win against Gutierrez. So hopefully... Oh, and then he only fought that. He fought the Sugar Sean fight. It was a no contest. Then he fought against Gutierrez and won. Before the O'Malley, he actually lost against Dominic Cruz. So, and then he lost against Jose Aldo. So, he's been on a little bit of rocky, but, those are to lose to Jose Aldo and then Dominic Cruz, and then defeat Gutierrez. That's not a bad run, especially if you're talking about legends of that division like Aldo and Cruz, bro. Like legends, just cream of the crop type of guys, you know what I mean? So that's not, so much of a negative thing. I think actually there's a stat about him that he's never lost against no one that is not a former champion, I believe. Yeah, because before that, I mean, he's got all W's, bro. All W's. Yeah, his record is great. He's only lost against Rivera twice. He's only lost against recently. Then lost against Aldo and Cruz. So that's a good record in my opinion. That's a guy that's definitely know what he's doing. He's definitely been around the block a couple of times. So no punk, man. No one to there's no room for error with this guy, which brings me to my next point with Marlon, because Marlon, very openly talked about it in the JRE and podcast that when he fought Corey, he just really wasn't feeling himself. It was not his night. He just wasn't feeling the whatever you want to call it, right? That day, he just was not feeling it for whatever reason. That night, he did not want to perform, right? And it happens. It happens. We hear it. Half of the performance. I think it's mental. I think it's. Again, I'm not a fighter, but I would imagine, right? And they want to get you ready to be in that octagon. You know what I mean? A lot of the guys might not be able to tap into that mindset that night, that specific night. You could all week. You could be perfect, ready to go, and for whatever reason, you just wake up that day and you're just not gonna perform. You know what I mean? So. A lot of it is mental because we obviously know Chito has some amazing capabilities. He is an absolute savage. So we know that's not the issue. The issue is not discipline because he made weight. He had a great camp for what he said. But, mentally he just was not there, bro. So it happens. He had an off night. It didn't go his way. So I think for him, it depends a lot on this fight is what kind of version of Chito do we get. I do think he pulls a W, looking at both guys in their last couple of fights, I think Chito definitely gets a W in this one, especially because, after the Sanhagen fight, he probably is at a spot where he's like, oh, okay, all right, I see what happened. Might not do that again. Or again, could be a mental issue or I don't know, maybe bring in some type of psychology coach or something through your camp to kind of help you with that a little bit. That wouldn't be such a terrible idea. Because if the issue is mental, brother, you might have to look further than the gym. You know what I mean? You can go to the gym all you want. You can train all you want. You can spar all you want. But at the end of the day, if your mind is not taken care of, those things, all the tools that you have, you're not going to be able to use them. So get yourself right, my man. Get yourself right, and hopefully you perform. I'm a fan. So hopefully you perform this weekend. Do that. I do want to see you win. What I love about Chito is that he's the type of guy that just has great pressure, doesn't really get tired. He just comes forward and is pressuring you. That's how he gets the double out of the times. He doesn't really have a lot of knockout power. He could knock you the fuck out with some fucking fire-ass leg kick, though, however. But he did not, he doesn't really have like a punch knockout power. But who knows, maybe, obviously he could, anything can happen. But for him, I think his strategy relies more on wearing you down, you know what I mean? Just kind of going forward, outboxing you, outstriking you. So it's going to be really interesting, man, because, Chito has, to me, before the Sanhagen fight, he was the best bantamweight other than Aljo. The little run there he had, I mean, fuck, it was sure he was going to be right there at the title shot for a bit, man. So it's unfortunate that he got the loss. But, if I had to guess, the title, again, we'll talk about the division here in a bit. It's just so exciting right now. But we have Corey Sanhagen there next in line. We have Marab. So it's a lot that can happen. But my official prediction for this one is Chito Vera. Chito Vera. Anyways, so moving on, we have some really good fights. We have Damon Blackshear versus Mario Bautista. We have Neil Magny versus Ian Machado Gary. Oh, that Ian guy, he's really good. I know he's got a little bit of hype going on too. He's from Ireland, just like your boy Connor. He has some wins off his belt. He defeated Rodriguez. Oh, that was a good fight, yeah. He's coming off of some hype right now, some momentum. So that's really good. I give the fight to him. You know, Neil Magny, he's a great fighter. He's a great fighter, but when you look at both these guys' record, I think Neil is coming off of two losses, or he lost his previous one. Yeah, he lost to Gilbert Burns. So that's that's a shame, but it is what it is. But I don't know. I think Ian, I like him a little more for this. Stylistically, I think he's gonna outperform Neil. I think Neil, what I've seen before from him is, I think it's his. I can't remember correctly, but I think his cardio, and I could be completely wrong, by the way. I'm just not gonna say anything. I don't know enough about Neil Magny to comment. But if I had to guess on this one, I'm gonna say Ian. Just because, like I said, he does have a little bit more hype, and he does have a little bit more of a momentum going with his last couple of fights. Great boxer, by the way. If I'm remembering correctly, I saw his fight when he fought Gutierrez, and Gutierrez is no punk, and he got that W, so that should be interesting to see. And then you have the co-main event. The females fighting Zhang Weili versus Amanda Lemos for the strawweight championship of the world. I just don't know how you get past Zhang Weili, man. I think she is. I've said this before. I think pound for pound, she's one of the best. Probably the best in women's, if I'm not mistaken. I put her even above Shevchenko, I put her above Alexa Grasso. I think she just dominates. And, other than the KO she had against Rose Namajunas. Other than that, man, she's had a wonderful, fantastic career. I mean, first champion ever from China. That's a big deal. And, other than that, she just demolishes people. Obviously, she came off of the win against Valentina Shevchenko. That was a great fight, and then before that, both of those ladies had, like, what is considered the best women's fight ever, when they went just toe-to-toe, and Shevchenko had that fucking massive ball on her head because Zhang Weili was just fucking going at it. It was a great fight. The second fight did not really live up to the hype, but still, super great performance by Weili. And that's the thing. Do you rather have another war that, it might bring you more hype, but would you rather do that and possibly, suffer massive head injuries? Or would you rather, cut the night short a little bit? So I think she chose the latter. And she said, you know what, it's not worth it. So she really dialed it in. And, say what you want, but Shevchenko, I think she was just, she retired that night. So you always got to ask yourself, well, if you know you're going to retire that night, are you really as invested? Are you at 100%? You know what I mean? So it was, it's a question that has to be answered because, like, what Joanna that night, she retired, and it makes you wonder, well, was she at 100% that day? Did she already knew she was going to retire, so she didn't try as hard? Because it was fairly easy fight for Zhang Weili. So, that was great. And then after that, she defended the title. She took the title from Carla Esparza, who took it from Rose Namajunas. So Zhang Weili has just been on a tear, bro. Like I said, other than that KO from Rose, she's an absolute beast. And she fucking hits hard. She's fast. She's super explosive. She's great on she's great on the ground. She was up until the Joanna fight. I think before that, the being on the ground was maybe one of her weaknesses. But she worked on that, and she won that Joanna fight by, choking her out. So that was great. So I was going to say that was her only knock, but she already worked on that and pretty damn near mastered it. So makes you wonder if she has any flaws at all. So, it's going to be really interesting to see. I feel bad for Lemos, but I give this to Zhang Weili. I just don't see how anyone beats her right now. Of course, anything could happen, and Lemos could 100% pull a major upset. I mean, I don't even know what the odds are on that, but I'm assuming it will be kind of great if she does that. It makes some probably a decent amount of money. It's hard. Zhang Weili, she either has to get caught with something. I don't think she is gonna outstrike her. I don't think she's gonna knock her out. Amanda Lemos, she hits hard though. She really hits hard. So like I said, that's her only chance. She has to get caught with something. But if you go toe to toe distance, I think it's Zhang Weili all day long. If it goes to the ground though, that it's interesting because, like I said, Zhang Weili, that was one of her biggest issues before the Joanna fight. She worked on that, but I honestly do not know how the ground game of Amanda Lemos is. I mean, I'm assuming I assume it's pretty good. So she won her last fight by KO. Before that, it was submission, and before that, she submitted Jessica Andrade. Okay, hold on then. She's no fucking punk then, bro. Then she's a fucking trouble on the ground, dude. Holy shit. Wow. I mean, other than that, it's been a lot of KOs and TKOs. So, hold up, never mind then, bro. She's got a real shot on the ground, if I'm not mistaken. Then, wow. So I would favor her on the ground, but again, you have to take Zhang Weili down, and that's not super easy. She's also a very great grappler. I don't know, man. She just hits hard. I just feel like Zhang Weili is gonna come out round first, fucking guns blazing, and try to knock this chick out, or at least TKO her. I think that's my official prediction. It's Zhang Weili via TKO round 1 or 2, if I gotta say. Sorry, I forgot to say for Chito, my prediction is Chito Vera is gonna win by decision round 3. So going the distance there. And now, the main event of the evening. We have Aljamain Sterling versus Sugar Sean O'Malley. Great fight. I mean, great fight. There's not much I can say about it. Obviously, it's a big hype fight, something we've been expecting a lot, and something that for Sugar, it's finally here. It's a moment that he's been dreaming of ever since he started his career. It's a moment that all of his fans have wondered if it was going to come. The main knock when a guy like Sugar comes around, a guy like Patty comes around, one of those guys that is just massive outside of fighting, the question comes along of, are they good enough? Will they ever be champions? Will they be a legend of the sport? Is it all just hype? Are they really as good as they seem? Are they going to be able to get past the queue and eventually get a top 5? Do they belong at the top? Is that the question? Are they really elite? Like their hype is saying that they are, right? Because massive. Sugar Sean, massive. You know what I mean? Patty, massive. People like that come along every once in a while that have massive following outside of fighting. That question needs to be asked, right? We already saw from Sugar Sean that he definitely belongs in the top 5. Definitely belongs there. Definitely, he had that fight with Peter Yan. That's when I saw, okay, this guy is fucking from here, bro. This guy's from here. He gonna stay. Any other top 7 guy, it's trouble for that guy if they're facing Sugar. No punk. Because when he was fighting unranked guys, I bet he won't beat the champ. I bet he. Well, back then probably not, right? But that's what you want. That's why I think they played they played it perfectly with Sugar. They built him up into such a great status and such a great position that he's still in his prime. He's young. He's got a lot of fights. He's got a couple of losses that he's learned from. Well, just one loss, really. And he proves that he belongs here, bro. He proves that he's a fighter. I think the lines got blurred a little bit. Like I said, when he started hanging out with Jake Paul and hanging out with the Nelk Boys and all that shit, like the lines get blurred a little bit, right? Of what's more important to you? You know what I'm saying? Clout, streaming, YouTube, or fighting, right? Because Sugar could retire right now and just do his podcast, just do YouTube vlogs, and he will probably still be a multi-millionaire, right? So we found out in the Peter Yan that he wants to be here, that he does belong in the top 5. So that's great. Now, this moment is the one he's been waiting for forever, and the one his fans has been waiting for forever. Can he be a world champion? Is he world championship material? Is he as good as everyone and himself said that he is? Because Sean, God, this must be crazy if he guessed it right, but I saw an interview with him that he said next year I'll be champ, or he said like in 2 years I'll be champ, and I forget when that was. I think he's kind of close. If not, obviously the date, he just said the year. So I think he did say 2023 he was going to be champ. But I'll say one thing though. I'm rooting for him. I hope he wins. But I will say this, if he loses, that's going to be absolutely fine. Absolutely perfectly fine. I'll tell you what, if he goes out there and gets smoked in the first 15 seconds, all right, well, then maybe, take a look back, right? But if he goes out there and steps toe-to-toe with the champ and then goes to decision maybe, and it's a split or something like that, it's absolutely fine. It's better. It's for a rematch, If that happens, there'll probably be a rematch. But, if he gets starched, in the last couple of rounds or something, then it's okay. As long as you show us some stuff in there that makes us say, "Oh, I want to watch this again." If you win some rounds, if you have some big moments, the people are going to say, "Okay, I want to see this again. I want to see this rematch." Even if you get starched in the last couple of rounds, I think a rematch would be okay. If it's a split, then please, rematch is mandatory. Just that should be a rule. If it's a championship fight and it's a split decision, it should be an automatic rematch, right? I think they do a good job at doing that. Where's my dog? Anyways, he's over there. I think that should be an automatic thing. But, I think they do a good job at kind of building the storylines in the way that does happen. If Sugar goes out there and just gets absolutely starched in the first round, and sorry, bud, but a rematch might not be in the conversation. You're back to fighting like Marav, maybe the Cheeto rematch, maybe Sanhagen, who knows? But if he does go out there and defeat Aljo, then boom, you're there, you're a champ. He proves he will be at a Connor status, I'll give you that. Maybe not financially where he's going to make 10 mil per fight, plus. But he'll definitely get there later in his career. But, he answered the question. He ended his quest. You know what I mean? His search is over. He answered the question that everyone was answering from the beginning. Oh, this guy's just hype. Will he be able to hang? Oh, this guy, he's just, doing it for show. Will he be able to hang? Well, I don't know what's a bigger example of being able to hang than beating the fucking champion. There's not a bigger thing of doing that. So if that does happen, great for Sugar. His career just goes bananas, just goes up in the air. He's gonna get all the pussy. But it's gonna be great for him. Obviously, if it doesn't happen, like I said, it's okay. If you lose to the champ, it's fine. It's not the end of the world. You're still young. And I think that's a lesson that he's going to have to learn if he does lose. Because, we all know what happens when a big name loses, right? When Conor loses, when even someone like Cejudo loses against Aljo. Cejudo said it the best. He said, "I only like to fight for gold. If not, then I don't want to fight at all," right? I hope Sugar Sean doesn't turn into that, where he gets some sort of entitlement from his hype and from his following and from his popularity and saying, well, I don't fight the number 3 guy or whatever, right? Well, we're going to see. If he does lose this fight, we are going to really see if he wants to be here, right? He had the good fight with Piotr, and that he showed us that he wants to be here. But that's not enough, man. A lot of guys, I think Sugar, compared to a lot of other contenders, had a relatively, I don't want to say easy, but injury-free, damage-free, punch-free career, right? He's never really been, terribly knocked out or anything like that. So relatively to other guys, he's had it. He's on the good side, right? He doesn't have as much brain damage, right? So if that does happen, he has to, if he does lose to the champ, will he just, go back to the queue, maybe fight the number 3 guy, and then challenge again? What's going to happen? Or, will he kind of take a look in the mirror and say, fuck, do I really want to do this, right? I mean, I could be making the same, if not more money on YouTube. All I'm hoping is a good fight. All I'm hoping is we get some fucking back and forth action, some fucking 4 or 5 rounds of pure action. And I don't hope that the guys go out there and are scared to throw, scared to let go, and then eventually it'll be a boring fight. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think it's going to happen. But my official prediction for that fight is Sugar Sean, either by decision or by round 4 TKO. Round 4 TKO. No. Sorry. Early round TKO. Maybe like round 2 TKO. Because Aljo, bro, here's the thing about Aljo. He will go to the deep waters with you. He will fucking go down there, dude. We've seen it with Henry. We've seen it, right? So we saw it with Peter Yan, right? He will go down there with you, brother. He will be round 5, middle of the round. He will be dangerous. He will be trying to finish you. Insane cardio, insane shape, insanely strong and big for the division. He's massive. Sugar is taller, but Aljo is just shredded, bro. He's bulked the fuck up. Fuck, he's fucking shredded, dude. So when O'Malley probably has the reach advantage and taller, Aljo, man, is fucking shredded and strong, dude. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see at least some section of the fight with Aljo on top of O'Malley, just grinding on him, just fucking tiring him. I don't think O'Malley has faced a better wrestler or anyone close to Aljo when it comes to wrestling and jiu-jitsu. I think that's a problem that O'Malley's going to have to solve. I think that's a problem that is going to, it's going to be a matter of not letting this guy take your back, because if he takes your back, you're fucked. You're absolutely fucked. You can get taken down and you can defend it, but, it's obviously not a good spot to be in if you're on bottom. Obviously, the most ideal part would be to just stay on the feet and strike. But, it's MMA, and, Aljo has ridiculous fucking wrestling and ridiculous fucking jiu-jitsu. So he will definitely be shooting and attempting, I think, to submit Sugar Sean. So, my prediction, I said that it's going to be Sugar Sean by either TKO round 1, round 2. If it doesn't go that way, I have a second prediction for you guys. I think Aljamain Sterling, either by decision or by submission in round 4. So this is the verdict, right? Early TKO for Sugar or decision. Let's say for whatever reason Aljo doesn't shoot, or he only shoots a couple of times and Sugar's able to get back up. They keep it on the feet and Sugar just pieces up Aljo. That's his best chance, right? So either Sugar Sean by early TKO or decision, or Aljo by late submission or decision. So both guys can win by decision, I think. The reason why I also chose Aljo for decision, it's because, Aljo, he's also not punk. He could also take you down, not submit you, but just fucking wearing you for 4.5 rounds, dude. He can do that. And if he does it, it's going to be a bad night for Sugar. And he's going to get the W. You know what I mean? And Aljo can totally do that. He can take you down, hold you there, press on you, grind on you for 4.5 rounds, dude. And he'll do it if he gets the chance. Obviously, he might try to submit, you know what I mean? But that's why I also have him by decision, because if he does have the most control on the ground, then the fight is going to go to him, really. So it's just a matter of, seeing what happens. Just anything could happen, guys. This Saturday in the UFC, Aljamain Sterling, the Funk Master, versus the Sugar Show, Sean O'Malley. What's up, UFC? Hire me. What's up? I'm just kidding. So that's my prediction, guys. I think that is, regardless, is going to be a great card. Regardless, the UFC has put nothing but fire cards this entire year. This was not the exception. I mean, there's a few questionable fights there, especially in the prelims. But, I would say it's a 8 out of 10 card, especially because Cheeto, because of the hype of the main card, you know what I mean? So it's going to be great. I'm excited to see, and obviously, as you guys know, after the fact, I'll be here. I'll be here ready to break it down. I'll be here ready to give you my thoughts on who won and who lost, on what's next for the fighters, how was the card, what's going to happen next. If you don't want to miss that, please subscribe, maybe hit that bell so you get that notification. And again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll go ahead and pause here, but if you guys, if I would appreciate it if you go down, hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave a comment again, man. Tell me how you feel. Am I fucking crazy and everything I'm saying is just stupidly wrong? Do you agree with me? What's up? Let me know. Let me know either way. Thank you guys, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Peace. And that's how it's done.